Hello everyone. Welcome to Access to Legal Aid and Allied Laws and podcast brought to you by Sikkim Government Law College in pursuance of third edition of Professor V.S. Mallar Memorial Legal Aid Competition 2024. As we all are aware, cybercrime is on the rise, both in our state of Sikkim and across the country. Cybercrime refers to illegal activities carried out using digital devices or network such as hacking, identity theft, online fraud, and cyber stalking, which targets individuals, companies, or government bodies. Many individuals have fallen victim to these offenses, and the financial losses have been staggering. According to the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, an average of 7,000 cybercrime complaints were registered every day in May 2024, marking a substantial increase from previous year. Today, we have with us Advocate Tashi Rabden Barfungpa, a prominent advocate from Sikkim with over 2 decades of experience, committed to social justice and human rights. He is the founder of Hope Sikkim, an organization focused on legal awareness and advocacy for the underprivileged. His work spans across critical issues such as human trafficking, abuse, and the rights of women and children. He has consistently taken a stand for the marginalized, often representing those without access to legal help. He will share his insights on cybercrime and digital safety and offer guidance on how individuals can protect themselves from falling victim to these crimes. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you.
To begin, could you explain what cybercrime is and what types of activities fall under this category?
See, I think first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here and share a little bit of experience that I've gained over the years. Secondly, the very fact that you asked me what cybercrime is, I think in your introduction itself, when you introduced cybercrime initially, you made a clear distinction,
So,
or
from legal perspective.
from a legal perspective. Okay, cybercrime is something, if you indulge into any sort of activities using the internet in any form, by way of using your computer or your laptop, anything that is used for digital use, would amount to cybercrime. Now, if you see the terms used these days, if you talk about online, you come across a lot of cases where when you talk about cyberbullying, where reputation of people are put at stake. You have cases wherein you have identity theft, where people are using your identity by stealing it online and using it for illegal gains. There are things like phishing, where people pose as people representing a particular authority or someone from the banking sector, or makes you do things which makes you uh, dupe, or makes you do things which you are actually not supposed to do, by someone who's impersonating at someone else and carrying on illegal activities. So in simple form, I think cyber crime would be something that is done illegally by means of using the internet illegally.
We have seen a dramatic rise in cyber crimes incidents across India, especially this year. From your perspective, what are the primary reasons behind this surge?
The primary reason, see, in a country like India, and even if you compare, if we are to be Sikkim centric for now, I think lack of awareness is one of the major reasons why these kind of cases are increasing. Like you mentioned earlier, that it is increasing at an alarming rate. If you see, even let's just talk about 2024. In the last, in the first 4 months of 2024 itself, in May 2024, I think there are about uh, 7,000 plus
So
cases
one day
which,
cases
yes,
registered.
in one day 7,000 plus cases being registered. So you can see, at what pace it's been increasing. The cases of online frauds been increasing. If you see, even if you compare from 2017, 18 onwards, if you see the rise, it started somewhere, probably from, the data shows that Initially, there was just about 1,15,000 to 1,20,000 cases registered. But today, if you see, there are almost around 15 lakh to a little more than 15 lakh cases being registered almost every year. And I think with the use of with after post COVID, many things like even in the banking sectors to almost everything has gone digital, right? You have transactions online to be you making payments. You go to a shop, simple shop. Even today, a panwala uses an app to receive money, and banking sectors to even these online classes to online because everything's gone online. So I think the major problem that we see when we talk about increasing online fraud cases online, because I feel there's lack of awareness and evolvement of technology over the years. I think our law enforcement are not still as equipped as they should be because it might take a little time for things to change.
Are we seeing similar trends in Sikkim also? And would you like to mention few leading cases or cases that you have come across?
In Sikkim, there have been a lot of cases. To be very honest, I've myself been a victim of cyber fraud. Initially, it was a little embarrassing for me to be sharing that, being a lawyer who's been practicing law for the past 22 years and someone who knows a little bit about law, not just cyber law, but, other laws as well. And seeing and dealing with these kind of cases in the courts as well. I was to a certain extent of the opinion that someone like me can never be cheated, at least a lawyer with 22 years of standing. But today, I don't know whether I call it, it's an unfortunate incident, and I don't know whether I should be embarrassing sharing this. But I've myself been a victim of cyber fraud. And I realized initially, for about a couple of months, I didn't want to share this with anyone, not even with my family, not even with any of my friends, because I thought it is embarrassing for a lawyer to be cheated online. But later I realized I think it is about time that I share so that people don't suffer the same consequences that I have suffered in terms of unmindful use of the internet or people trusting online. So there are a lot of these kind of cases which are being reported in Sikkim as well. And mainly, if you see the kind of cases which are reported in Sikkim have been related to cases like honey trap, where uh, people are being falling in love online, to people are
Extortion.
extortion, to the many cases of cyberbullying as well, and using unverified apps like online gamings to banking frauds. So multiple cases of various types are being registered here in the Sikkim as well.
As we can see, surge of suicide rates in Sikkim due to online frauds like sextortion, providing loan by unauthorized organizations, and blackmailing them. What are your observations regarding this, and what might be possible remedies for this?
See, when you mention about suicide and people taking extreme steps because of the fact that they've been victims of online fraud or cybercrime, I'll give you one example. Just the other day, I was invited by one of my friends to organize to give a small talk on cybercrime and online safety. So it is uh, in this gathering that I got to know that someone from his organization had actually been a victim of online fraud and had taken this extreme step of committing suicide, and he lost his life. And likewise, there have been other instances as well where people have committed suicide because of the fact that they've been cheated online or they've been victims online. So in a situation like this, see, whenever I go and speak on online safety, or in fact today when I was interacting with the students, the first thing, because it's just a moment of things like committing suicide, it's just a flick of a second that you probably things go blank and you don't even realize that what extreme steps you're going to take. But by the time you realize, it's too late. End of the day, the person who's gone is gone, but you end up leaving a lot of baggage. Your family is in problem, your friends are in affected. So I think we've got to be very careful and at the same time see that even if you've been a victim of online fraud, the first thing that you need to do is share it with your near and dear ones, uh, share it with your friends, go to the law enforcement agency, and see that before you take any kind of extreme steps,
Mm.
it is better that you report the matter to the police, and then, like I said, share it with your family and friends and express the difficulties that you're facing because of your being victim of
Yes.
cyber fraud.
Or could you walk us through the legal protections available to victims of cybercrime?
See, the first thing, once you've realized that you've been a victim of cyber fraud, if you see today online, if you even go to the website of the Ministry of Home Affairs, there's a portal that they've created wherein you can log into the portal and you can immediately register a complaint. Even here in the state of Sikkim, we've got cyber cells offices
Mm.
set up, and I think it is under the crime branch. You can visit any of the thanas or go direct to the cyber cell with the crime branch and report the matter.
For someone who has fallen victim to cybercrime, what is the process of reporting it?
The process of reporting, like I said, you can visit the portal. It is there, if I'm not mistaken, the website maintained by the Ministry of Home Affairs, central government. There's a portal you can log in and put in your complaints, and basically they've categorized what sort of how you've been cheated online, so you can accordingly register a complaint, which after registration I think you get a registration number, and in fact after it's registered it is even forwarded to the concerned state from where you belong, or from where you've registered the complaint online. And here in the state as well, you can visit any of the thanas immediately, and then you have this cyber cell, which is managed by the crime branch. You can directly go to the cyber cell and register a complaint as well. You got to understand one fact, that as a victim of cybercrime, I think it is very important that you immediately go and report the matter, because every second matters. Because the the quicker you are in terms of reporting your complaint, registering your complaint, it might be easier for the law enforcement agencies to crack your case. Otherwise, if there is delay, then cases like this, it becomes very difficult even for the law enforcement agency.
How does the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal work, and what should people know when seeking legal recourse?
If you How it works, like I said, I mentioned earlier as well, if you visit the site, it gives you a clear, it's given a categorized, like what sort of fraud's been committed on you. You've got to accordingly, you've got to select and you've got to register a complaint. Once the same is done, you get a registration number, and the same is forwarded to your concerned jurisdiction as well. Say, for example, you've registered from Sikkim, it's sent to the law enforcement here in Sikkim as well. And then that's how you need to follow up. But for someone as a legal recourse, if you say, it is either you directly go and file a complaint to the police thana, or if even online, you've got an option of doing that, or sometimes you have mm, the opportunity of even approaching the courts, wherein, say for example, if it's banking frauds, I think today there's something called the banking ombudsman, where you can directly register a complaint to there are ways. And in case if you seek legal assistance and you can't afford a lawyer, you come from a, a category wherein you are entitled to free legal aid services, then you can visit the district legal services authorities as well as the state legal services authorities.
According to your experience, at what time frame usually the case gets resolved?
Cases getting resolved, see, this is exactly what I was mentioning when we were having a session today as well with the students. Until and unless, because cybercrime is something which is evolving over the years, and it is not an easy task even for the law enforcement to immediately crack it, you know, because of the things involved in activities like this. So, like I was sharing with the students, until unless there's pressure from the higher ups,
Mm.
your cases might get resolved immediately because law enforcement immediately sets into action. But for ordinary citizens like you and me, was the law enforcement agencies already overburdened, with their regular cases. So unless there are cases, which is within the reach of the law enforcement agency to immediately crack it, I think it's very, very, very difficult, and it's a very cumbersome process. Even if the law enforcement agencies diligently do their duty, many a times, in maximum of the cases, it is very difficult. So I cannot, give you a
Like
certain time
as you have
frame.
already mentioned that uh, cases gets resolved on like only if people have reached in this kind of cases. And what about the marginalized community?
Not exactly. Please don't misunderstand me
uh,
when I say people only in reach.
mm.
Obviously there have
But
been
most of the
cases.
cases, but
Yes,
in every aspect of life, marginalized
yes,
are downtrodden ones or
yes.
are not
Marginalized
privileged.
because see, like I said, it's not that the law enforcement agency doesn't, immediately get into action, but many a times these kind of cases, since it's very difficult even for them to crack it, uh, there is no fixed time frame as such, and the cases are registered, but there are multiple cases which have still not been solved.
Mm,
Cases where people, complainants, have been fortunate enough to recover their money, or
mm,
have immediately gone and reported the matter to the law enforcement. Where, say, for example, if it's a banking fraud, you've informed the bank, you've informed the law enforcement agency, the case is registered. Immediately, the law enforcement passes an order to
mhm.
freeze the bank account. So in cases like these, there is some element of cases being resolved immediately, but there are multiple other cases and types of cases
Like
where it
people
becomes
whom I
difficult.
know personally who are the victims of cyber crimes, maximum people's money are not refunded or are not recovered. So, according to you, what are the drawbacks in law enforcement agencies, and what are the possible improvements law enforcement agencies can do?
Not you know not that the law enforcement agency is inefficient, as far as I see. The element of thing involved in the commission of these sort of crimes, someone sitting in Nigeria or someone in London might be cheating you, you know so there's a lot of jurisdictional issues involved as well. So for a law enforcement agency, even if you go and report the matter, but to trace from where the origin, the source of origin from where the crime's been committed, is is one of the most difficult tasks, as far as I see, for the law enforcement agencies to handle. Because, like I said, you might be cheated. You might feel that somewhere just across the border has cheated you, but it might be someone who's sitting in the UK and using his computer and cheating.
What role do law enforcement agencies and legal professionals play in addressing cybercrime? The role legal
The law,
professionals.
the rule that the law enforcement as well as the legal people from the legal profession can play is, one of the major roles that they can play, as far as I see, is generating awareness. Because generating awareness, and it coming from people from the law enforcement agency, people in uniform, and people from the legal fraternity, makes a lot of difference. Today, you and me raising awareness on subjects like this might make a little bit of larger impact than a common man going and speaking about these kind of issues. You know, so as far as I see, for the law enforcement, the role of law enforcement as well as people from the legal fraternity, generating awareness among the masses would be a major contribution from
So,
our end.
according to your experience, are there challenges in investigating these crimes, and how can the legal system improve in tackling these growing issues?
There are at the moment severe challenges, and with with today's time, with artificial intelligence in existence, it becomes very difficult. Because, see, we've got to understand the fact the perpetrators of these crime are people, those who are street smart, they educated people, you know an illiterate cannot be indulging into any illegal activities like these. So they are highly trained and highly skilled people. So at the same time, I think, for the law enforcement as well as for the legal thing, we've got to update ourselves. The kind of technology that the law enforcement uses, it has to be upgraded. You'll have to move ahead with time and see that it is in tandem with, what the kind of technology, to the kind of uh, things that people, those who are indulging into these sort of activities, are using. So we'll have to keep ourselves updated law enforcement, as well as when it comes to people from the legal
How
fraternity.
can individuals, particularly those from marginalized communities, seek help in navigating the legal system and gaining access to justice?
So legal system, like I said, see, the first thing from the people from the marginalized society, certain categories wherein you have this option of getting free legal aid, right? And even if you consider the state of Sikkim, we have around 200 to 300 plus lawyers, those who are impaneled with the state legal services authorities, right from a young lawyer to a person who's 30, 40 years of standing as senior counsel. So any difficulties that you have in terms of you being represented in the court of law, you can always approach the state legal services authorities, and you will be provided a lawyer free of cost who is going to assist you in terms of right from filing a complaint to, if needed, approaching the court and fighting for you.
Mm. What are the legal consequences of cyber crimes for both victims and the perpetrators?
This legal consequences, see, like I said, there, the very fact that there's a special legislation like the Information Technology Act in existence, and you have other provisions covering any criminal activities carried online. You have the Indian Penal Code now, the BNS, the certain sections of the BNS, as well as various sections of the IT Act, and even laws like POCSO
Mhm.
covers, especially when you talk about child pornography, material, any unethical materials related to children. So, a perpetrator of a crime have every possibility of them being prosecuted under these laws. Now, for a victim, I think a victim goes through a lot. You know, say for example, even if you and me are cheated today of the hard money that we put in the bank, it
Yeah.
emotionally affects us. Not just that, in terms of online, if you cyberbully, to there's a lot of sextortion, to cases wherein women and children are being abused online, to even things like traffic. They've been victims of trafficking, to sexual abuse. So emotionally, as well as not just emotionally, but in terms of your reputation being damaged, to various severe consequences are being faced by victims of online
In your
fraud.
opinion, how crucial is it for legal professionals to stay updated on technological advancements? And what steps can the legal community take to better understand and address cybercrimes?
It is very important to keep ourselves updated with, digitally, or whatever term that you use, because today, if you see, everything is online. Today, even if you visit a lawyer's office, you'll hardly see any books like it used to be before. The journals to the office used to be full of books, because everything goes online today. You do your research, you've got to use the internet, you've got to be online. You've got all these journals and all that's today, online. You subscribe to certain mm, websites, and then you have everything is online. So I think it is very important for the legal fraternity to be well equipped with the kind of essential equipments that are required for you to be growing as a professional, as well as to keep yourselves updated so that you don't become a victim of
Cybercrime.
illegal activities being done online.
Mhm. How do you think individuals can stay informed about the rights regarding data protection?
Regarding data protection and being safe online, like I said, one of the major things that you can keep yourself updated with is, see, a little bit of your free moment, instead of surfing the internet and using, when you surf the internet, instead of spending your time on Facebook or what Instagram, or just those social media platforms, you can do a little, because these days every information is on the click of your finger. So I think you got to keep yourself updated by way of awareing, keeping yourself updated by way of visiting online, to uh, you have these awareness programs to, I think that's
Last two
about it.
questions left. Okay. Um, what advice would you like? Um, no. What advice would you give to college and school students who are active on social media How can they balance sharing content while protecting their privacy? And what steps should they take to stay safe online, especially in regard to students?
See, for students, and I think it's very important that we can't discourage someone to use the internet, because today, if you don't use the internet, you become a little you go digitally backward. So some sort of exposure, or some sort of your exposure is required, and that cannot happen without you using the internet, because every information today you find in the internet. But how you use the net and for what purpose is very important as students. I think mindful using of the internet is very important. Unmindful use and you get into trouble. Because sometimes as students, I was telling the same thing to the law students today as well, sometimes online, without even realizing the fact that you've committed a crime, you end up committing crime in your innocence, you know by way of your simple actions, which you feel is not a crime, but you end up committing a crime. Even when you're using the social media platform, I think a lot of us tend to uh, expose almost everything about us, giving information right from what you eat to what time you wake up to where you are at the moment. So all these things, I think, need to be taken care of, and you'll have to be, I would say, in simple words, mindful using of any internet or the platform that you
Uh,
use on the internet has to be mindful.
Lastly, what advice would you like to give to our viewers?
To the viewers, stay safe, be mindful use of internet, see that the internet is used for the right purpose, and not discouraging that you don't use the internet. Without internet today, you can't move ahead in life. You've got to keep yourself updated, but please ensure that you use it safely, and see that yeah, I think try and stay safe online.
Thank you, sir. The interaction was really enlightening. For more such legal episodes, do follow us.